This is a talk about a new theory of the firm. It begins with networks. The internet has made social networks a hot topic for discussion today, with companies like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and others using the World Wide Web to greatly expand the reach of our individual social networks. This reminds us that business is also about networks. But business networks are attached to the routines by which a business conducts its business on a day-to-day basis. These routines are well understood, especially when it comes to operating them at scale, something that MBA programs such as the Harvard Business School are very good at teaching. These well-recognized connections between networks and routines leave one last important piece free-floating out there, and that is knowledge. The routines that every business executes every day are an expression of the core base of knowledge on which that business is built, and it is that knowledge that allows a business to establish. Knowledge, networks, and routines, taken together, define what we call the genius of the firm, what it is that makes it unique in the sense of being both singular and special, and that allows it to establish and maintain a competitive position for itself as a participant in a given economic ecosystem. Routines can be institutionalized, which is a lot of what gets taught to MBAs in places like Harvard Business School, but the knowledge and the networks tend to be more personal, especially in younger, more dynamic companies that are driving transformational changes within an economy. Let's look, for example, at Apple. In its earliest days, anyway, the knowledge on which Apple got built is most personally associated with Steve Wozniak, whose technical genius could be described as knowing how to make computers produce an engaging visual experience of digital information. Steve Wozniak was partnered with the other Steve, Steve Jobs, who really emerged as the visionary leader who built a strong network of connections for Apple around his primary theme of delivering an amazing experience, something that continues to this day with the iPod, the iPhone, and now the iPad. Let's take as another example that other computer company, Microsoft. Here, we would suggest Paul Allen embodied personally the knowledge base of Microsoft, at least in its earliest days, and Paul's genius can be distilled down to an experience called the command line interface, which Paul's partner Bill Gates used to build a huge network of business connections around the experience of doing personal computing on the desktop. For those of you who don't remember, before Microsoft, computers were centralized mainframes operated by professional programmers that we all, as end users of the information being computed, were never allowed to even get close to. Paul and Bill and their team changed the world when they brought computing power to the desktop, where we could each use it to create the information we wanted, when we wanted it, more or less in the format that we were looking for. One last example, let's look at a more old-line company like General Electric. We all know Thomas Edison as the great promoter of electric lighting, but the interesting thing here is that the knowledge base around which GE got built didn't come from just one person, but from a team of people in a lab at Menlo Park, where, among other things, they discovered 10,000 ways not to make an incandescent light bulb. This is an important point because while knowledge, networks, and routines are all very personal, and all business really is personal, they are often associated with a single personality, but rarely can one person really contain the full impact of a successful business, the full genius of a firm. And once you begin to understand a business and its genius as an interrelated combination of knowledge, networks, and routines, you can see how it is really not possible for any one person to be everything in any business of any size. It really is a team effort. The important point about the team thing becomes the need to maintain balance between the knowledge, the networks, and the routines that make up any firm, which would be the subject of my next talk.